Hello, hello. I am Rich Oceguera, your transformation catalyst and the host and producer of this brand new show called Unmute Yourself. So, welcome to the very first episode of Unmute Yourself. And Unmute Yourself is really dedicated to all of you out there who know that you have this passion in your heart, you have this gift, you have this idea, you have a service, you have a product, you have a message that you want to share with the world. But maybe you're kind of stuck in, I don't know how, or what if it goes wrong, or what if no one cares, or all the what ifs, right? And all the how's it going to happen, right? So you're on the fence, but you have this bigger than a sneaking suspicion that you're really here to make a positive impact on the planet. And you're looking for ways to do that. So this show is for you, my friends. And it's also for all of the coaches and course creators, for the speakers and experts in the world who are already living into that dream that they have. And that's exactly who I interview on this show. So every episode, I'll be bringing to you another amazing entrepreneur. They could be a coach, a course creator, a teacher, a speaker, an artist, some kind of entrepreneur who is out in the world making a positive impact. And they know exactly how you feel as well, because they were there too. I was there too. In fact, I was there with this show up until right now. I had the idea for this show for several months now, and I was on the fence. I was afraid to put myself out there with this new show, even though I do shows. This is what I do. And I teach people how to be on camera. But I was muting myself. And my first guest, Tobey Geise, who's the owner of Tobey Geise Healing Works, I told her I would interview her in my private group, not as an official show. And then I said, dude, what are you doing? You have this amazing, brilliant, smart, beautiful, vivacious, incredibly talented woman who you're about to interview, and you're going to keep it small in your little private group. This needs to be the first guest of your show. And so I listened to that intuition, and it all literally just got pulled together last night. All the pieces I already had created finally had a reason to exist. And so I want to introduce to you my friend, first and foremost, Tobey Geise. She's also been a client of mine in my Camera Confidence 101 course. And she is out literally making a positive impact in people's lives by helping them overcome emotional eating habits and transforming their lives so that they're no longer at the effect of food, but instead they're able to be in control. They're able to honor their bodies and to love themselves in a new way. And she is the living embodiment of this kind of work. And so without any further ado, let me bring to you the amazing Tobey Geise.
Hi, Rich. Thank you so much for that beautiful and honoring introduction.
My pleasure. I could still be talking about you right now, but I figured I'd let you talk.
Well, you're doing a pretty good job. So,
and I want to give a shout out to everyone who's watching the first episode of Unmute Yourself. Thank you guys for being here. And if you would just take a moment and push that share button and get this over to your own social media profiles and share the love, we would both be so grateful to you for doing that. You're also welcome to ask questions throughout the show. You could just pop them in the comments and we'll see them on our side. And we'd love you to interact with us as we go along, especially if you have questions or struggle with emotional eating. And so I want to start with this. Tobey, can you please explain, what is emotional eating? How would someone know if that's what they're doing?
Well, if you're human, you're probably an emotional eater. It's right. I mean, we have emotions because we're human. Everybody does. And we're not taught what to do with those emotions. What we are taught is how to avoid them. Pretty much, like if you're human and you live in society, and especially if you're American, you are taught to stuff your emotions, to avoid your emotions, whether that's through food, alcohol, drugs, internet, porn, TV, the news, whatever. I mean, there are so many ways that we avoid ourselves. And I happen to focus on the food aspect because of my history and the things that I've overcome in my life. But here's an easy way to tell if you are an emotional eater. And usually you don't know it until afterwards. All of a sudden you come to and you find an empty box or an empty package, and you've just eaten the entire bag of Cheetos or an entire box of cookies or whatever it is, and you don't even remember opening it. And you may not even have known that you had an emotion or emotions earlier in the day, but you can look back and go, oh, maybe I was upset. And then you have this unconscious, uncontrollable binge. That's probably a good way to tell if you're an emotional eater.
Yeah. I know personally, when it's interesting because it's not always negative emotions for me. It's in fact, it's often something's going really well, and I'm like, ooh, I deserve to treat myself. I want to celebrate, and it could be any number of things that I think it would be the good way to treat myself. And usually there are things that it's not like I'm like, ooh, I'm going to celebrate. Let me make a green juice. It's not that. But when I'm having those down emotions, like clockwork, it's like no joke. I suddenly start thinking about fried chicken, French fries, and ice cream. That's what I want when I don't feel well. And Cody, my partner now, knows if I say, we should have fried chicken, something's going on in my head. Something's happening.
Does he
is that
ask
kind of
you?
what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's exactly it. When you ask for fried chicken, does Cody ask you what you're feeling?
No, but he's watching right now, so I think he'll have to start.
Thanks, Cody, for helping Rich out.
Yeah, he said, heading to McDonald's, need anything? Yeah, he's really helpful. Yeah. Well, I know you've had your own struggle with this. I don't think you just woke up one day and said, oh, I think I'll help people with emotional eating. So what led you to this really specific topic and the kinds of people that you want to help?
So to give you the short version of it, which is not my forte, so please stop me because I'm a very detailed person. But I was put on my first diet when I was 9 years old. And that was a big life-changing moment for me that changed the trajectory of my life, or really started my path, if you will, because I do believe that as a soul, we choose our circumstances, we choose our families, we choose the people that we're going to be around. And this is what I chose for myself to overcome in this lifetime. But at 9 years old, when I was put on my first diet, and I was very confused, and I thought I was in trouble and that I had done something wrong, because then food became something that I couldn't have anymore. Not like everybody else. And then when I was 12, I started practicing bulimia. And it was like the holy grail. Like, I can eat whatever I want and lose weight or not have to gain weight from the things that I'm eating. So, really a lifetime of challenges with food and body image. And I came to find a lot of healing through a long and windy journey of different healing modalities over the past 20 years. And that's why I've come to teach it. I've always known that my wound is my gift. I mean, I probably didn't know at the beginning, but that's really come to me over the past, probably decade. And I always knew that I had something to share with the world. Like you were talking about in your introduction, like I knew that was me, that I had something to give, something to share, something to teach. And I didn't know exactly what that was going to be or how to do that until I came to a real place of healing with my own eating disorder and with my own body and my own self-love. And then it was very clear to me, like, okay, I'm ready. I'm at a place where I'm really ready to share this with the world and help others, because it is a real problem. And I think it's getting worse. in our society with social media, and how much younger children are getting onto social media. And I specifically, I will help anybody with this problem, but I specifically am focusing on women, because I do believe that men do suffer with this as well, but we all know that this is a big problem for women. And everybody out there, probably, if they are not a woman who struggles with this, probably knows a woman who is always on a diet, or is self-conscious about the thing that they're wearing, or wearing a swimming suit, or oh, I can't eat that. Oh, can I have some of your French fries? Because I can't order my own, because that would be sinful, but the calories don't count if they're yours. People who are always talking like that. Those are the types of people that I help. And I would love to, oh, hi, Faith.
Yeah.
Faith is a friend of mine from the past, who actually texted me this morning. Really good to see you on here. Just to finish my sentence, I would love to help younger girls and teens, as this started for me at a very young age. And, it really took over my whole life, for most of my life, from the age of 9 until about 35. So if I can help girls not have to struggle and not have to live in so much pain, that would be amazing.
So, yeah, and that definitely, because I know some of your story, so that was definitely the condensed version. And I forgot about the bulimia part and the things that you struggled with early on in your life. And that, like, my heart just went as you were speaking. And there, I know there's so many people who struggle with this, men and women, and who don't necessarily talk about it, and don't know how to talk about it, or have that shame and guilt and self-worth issues all tied into this. I'm curious, and we'll answer quick. Faith wanted to get some tips, and I want to get those as well from you, ways people can start to shift this. But before we jump into that question, can you briefly tell me, how did you go from your professional life that you had before, working for other companies in the events world, more recently, and then to this, to now you're working with women, you're coaching them, you're launching programs to help people learn how to turn this around for themselves. At some point, were you on the fence too, like, oh my God, I want to make a difference, but I don't know how, or I'm afraid, or like, were you in that spot ever?
For years, Rich, for years. It kind of breaks my heart looking back, now that I'm finally here doing this full time, that it took me so long to get here. And if I had one message out there for people who know that they have something to offer the world and they really want to help, to just get out there and do it. Because I mean, what year are we in? 2021. So it was probably about 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, when I was like, yeah, I don't know if I really want to do events anymore, but I didn't know what else to do. It's where my skill set was. And I've done personal and spiritual growth work for as long as I've done event planning. They really happened in the same year. So I always did my personal growth on the side, but I didn't really know exactly what I was going to do with it. And then when I started to get an idea, it was, I just had a lot of fear. I couldn't imagine being an entrepreneur and working for myself. And, but then it became more and more clear to me. And then I just had to do it. And, honestly, COVID really helped push me out there, because the events industry died and I got laid off from my corporate job. And it was a blessing, because it pushed me off the ledge when I was too afraid to jump. Yeah. And I had been doing this work on the side. I was doing energy healing and Reiki and breath work for several years. Yeah. And coaching, coaching is newer in the past, probably year. But COVID really pushed me out there to do this full time.
Yeah. So. Well, what are some tips? Like, if you were going to give someone like the number one thing they could do right now if they are struggling with emotional eating, how can someone let me put the question back up, actually, that Faith asked, because it was multifaceted. I'm curious to know any tips you have about how to love and embrace your body as it is to feel sexy and desirable no matter your size. I love that question.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. There is no short answer to this, Faith, and there are a lot of different ways to tackle it. And the first thing is to really release the baggage. In order to, you can do affirmations all day long, but I think it's kind of like putting lipstick on a pig, because if there's like a pile of mental garbage beneath the affirmations aren't really doing anything. So the first thing is digging beneath it and doing the work to release the baggage. And I do that with my coaching clients through neurolinguistic programming and different healing techniques. So there's no simple way. I think for somebody who's out there watching this, I think the first thing to do is to find at least one small thing about yourself that you can accept. And to be honest with yourself about where you are dissatisfied. It's like, don't lie to yourself and just try to, oh, but I love my body, when you hate your body. Be honest with yourself, and then look at what is one thing that you can accept and love about yourself today. That's a really small place to start.
Yeah. And it's a huge thing because that's awareness, right? It bringing awareness, mindfulness to the thing. And we're mostly conditioned to be against, to hate, to feel shame or guilt or something, some negative kind of emotion about the things that are wrong, that we perceive are wrong with us, or that other people tell us are wrong with us. And so we get stuck in that place, and that's not an access point to healing. But what you said is acknowledge it. It doesn't mean we like it, but like say, okay, this is how it is right now. This is who I am right now. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really, that's powerful. I teach something called the 3 A's of overcoming fear of rejection. And the first A is awareness. And without that awareness, like you said, it's like putting lipstick on a pig. So yeah.
The awareness is the beginning of all change. Absolutely.
How do you do that though? Like, we know how to do that, right? Someone said that to us, be like, oh, okay, got it. And we'd go off and do our work. But for someone who may be new to these concepts, or can't even, the idea of like, oh, I'll just love myself, that could sound so absurd, right? When you're, especially if you are in a place of sadness or heavy emotion, depression, etc. How can someone take that baby step towards that self-acceptance, or not even acceptance here? We're just saying awareness, the accepting that it is what it is, right? What's one way that a person who's challenged by that can do that?
The word that came to me as you were speaking was gratitude. I think gratitude is, we've all heard of doing gratitude journals, and I think gratitude can be an opening to that place of acceptance and acknowledgement. And if we can just look at what's one thing in our lives that we can be grateful for, even when you're in that deepest, darkest, most depressed place, like, look at your past, look at how you got to where you are now. Like, look at your life, look at how old you are and how much more life you have to live. Look at your family, look at your friends. You can, no matter whatever dark place you're in, you can find one thing to be grateful for in your life. And that can be an opening.
Yes. And that's actually the perfect segue. You couldn't have planned this any better, Tobey, because we're going to transition to the next segment of the show, which is called 3 Things. And I'm going to ask you to name the first 3 things that come to your mind. I'm going to ask you a question, and you're going to just say the first 3 things that come to your mind. Okay, so let me just play this real quick. Okay, Toby, what are 3 things that you are grateful for today?
I'm so grateful for my journey. I'm actually grateful for my path with my eating disorder and all of my struggles. I am immensely grateful for the journey and the lessons. I'm grateful for meeting you, Rich. You have changed my life and opened doors for me in so many ways. Our lives have and our paths have crossed in many different ways. So
Yes,
I love that we're here today. I'm very grateful for you, and I'm grateful. Well, I'm just going to say this. I'm grateful for COVID. I'm grateful for the way that it has shifted the entire planet, because it had to be something that big to shake us up. And that I believe that it's a planetary awakening, and it has, as challenging as it has been for a lot of people, and how many lives have been lost, and that a lot of people are in darkness, there is just as much, if not more, light that has come from it. And specifically in my life, that I'm able to do this work full time now.
Yeah,
and help others.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's COVID has been a gift. I mean, this conversation is happening as a result of my transformations through COVID and my struggles through the process. Yes, so many things have come out of it. And I'll say this because we chose to look at what seemed like an obstacle and a major setback globally to find how can we use this to move ourselves forward.
Yes.
And that comes from, I can speak for myself, from the fact that we do transformation work, that we do this personal development work, that we keep ourselves surrounded by people who are in that same place, so that we can all move forward together. So I love what you said, and I agree. And I'm so glad that our paths have crossed in and out so many different times, and that
Yes.
the universe keeps bringing us together for some reason, right?
Yeah.
So how can people connect with you? I know you have this amazing program that you're starting this week. Can you talk briefly about that, and how people can connect with you? And you have a gift for the audience as well. So cram all of that in.
Okay. My course begins tomorrow, actually, Thursday, April 15th at 5 p.m. Pacific. And it's called Eliminate Emotional Eating. And it's a 6-week course, a 6-week blueprint to guilt-free eating. And to really learn to enjoy eating and eat things that you want guilt-free, and to learn to love your body and accept, and much more, and learn how to tap into your intuition, and so much more in that course that I'm really excited to share with the world. And I also have my free gift is a Ho'oponopono meditation that I have recorded. Ho'oponopono is a Hawaiian forgiveness prayer, and it's also a process. So this meditation is actually a healing process to forgive everybody in your life. And the guided meditation takes you through different groups of people to forgive them, and then cut the energetic cords. And truly, the entire thing is a self-forgiveness process. So it is its own healing modality. So I will go ahead and drop that link into the chat for everybody.
Yes, please do. So everyone watching, make sure you grab Toby's gift and take advantage of this process. I can never say the Ho'opono. Say it again.
Ho'oponopono. Ho'o means to make. Pono is right, and pono is right. So to make right with self, with others, and with God.
Do you know that I've heard about this for eons? I've even been in groups where we practiced it. No one ever has explained what it means until you just said that. I'm like, thank you. That's awesome.
You're welcome.
Yes.
You're welcome.
All right. So the link is in the comments, and you can grab it there. And if you have questions about Toby's work, whether working with her directly or in her programs, then grab the link, click the link so you can get onto her mailing list. And you can also post a comment wherever you're watching this from. And Tobey will be looking at the comments after the show and will reach out to you directly. So I would just say, if you are struggling with emotional eating or suspect that you are, then it would be such a great gift to yourself to at least have a conversation to find out if it is you. And if so, then, what are some ways that you can start to alleviate the pressure and the pain and the stress and the shame and the guilt that comes from emotional eating and all the consequences that cascade from that when you're trapped in that cycle. So, and folks, I want to also invite you to stay connected with me and with the Unmute Yourself show. You can visit my website, richawakenings.com. I'm putting the link to my website up on the screen as well. And guess what? You get 2 gifts today. I have a gift for you too, which is my mind mastery formula. Actually, it's something that Tobey has learned in the course that she took with me, Camera Confidence 101. So mind mastery is a way to actually train your brain to become the best version of yourself possible. It's literally a process of training your mind so that your default way of thinking supports you rather than the limiting, self-sabotaging beliefs that so many of us deal with. So you can grab that and also find out more about what I do on my website, richawakenings.com, and go check that out. So, final thought, my friend, what is one thing right now that you could share with the listeners if they're on the fence of between not taking action on what they know they have in their heart to do in the world and taking action, right? Those people that are like stuck in the middle, like we used to be. What's one thing that you can tell them to get off that fence?
You don't have to live this way anymore. And I didn't know that. I didn't know there was another way. My head was crazy obsessed with food and crazy obsessed with exercise and my body. And that's the main thing that I focused on in my life was food and my body image. And I just literally didn't know there was another way. So you do not have to live in this pain anymore. There is a huge, beautiful world out there, and it can all change when you change this. Everything in your external world changes when you change your mind, you change your perspective, you change your limiting beliefs. It all changes. You can really live the life of your dreams, and it is possible for everyone. And that was like 3 thoughts. So I had to cram it in.
I'll take it all. And so, folks, this brings us to the end of our show. Thank you, Tobey, for playing with me today, for being my first ever guest on this brand new show, Unmute Yourself. You're the perfect person to help me launch this and put it into the world. And I'm so excited for everything that you're doing, for your program, and for the benefit that your clients are getting from working with you and changing something that has been debilitating in their lives. So, folks, if you find yourself on the fence of life, where you're here to make an impact on the planet, but you've just been scared, like Tobey said, get off. You don't have to live like that, and find a way, find the people that can support you. Talk to me, talk to Tobey. There's so many people out there, but do something, because where you're at right now, my question is, how's that working for you? So I'll leave you with that thought. Folks, thank you. We'll be back soon with another episode of Unmute Yourself. Until then, remember to be connected, be courageous, be conscious, and here is to your rich awakenings, and unmute yourself. We'll see you soon.